Hello everyone, we are Geeks Not Nerds, I'm Captain Logan.
And I'm Vince!
And today's question, Vince, comes from... Can you see better that way?
I can.
Really?
I'm zooming in.
Does that give you like microscopic vision? That's fantastic.
Give it a try.
What does what do these fine folks look like when you... Okay, alright, so what, like this? Like that?
I win!
That doesn't work at all.
No, it doesn't.
Today, wow, I'm gullible. Today's question comes from Shane. Why? Why? Because he can. And
because we like you.
He would like us to talk about the importance of the condition of comics to our collections. So when you and I are buying comics, how important is condition? I'm going to start with you, Vince. You are, in a lot of ways, more of a collector than me these days, as like in the traditional sense of the word. For those of you that are maybe new to the channel and don't know, Vince is somewhat of a completist with certain things. He likes to buy everything Punisher. There's things like that. For me, I've always been somewhat more of a if it looks cool, I buy it, and I like to have kind of a smattering of all kinds of different things. So Vince, since you buy that way, how important is it that something is in pristine condition? And have you ever rebought something because the one you have is in too poor of shape?
Yeah. Now, here's the deal. Generally speaking, no, I don't much care if it's in poor condition, because what I'm looking for is a workable library. I want to have all of this because I know I'm not going to be able to go to the actual library and find all of this. So, sure, I'm going to go to the library. I'm going to find probably some Punisher. I'm probably going to find some stuff about the Thing. Why not? But I'm not going to find all of these things, including the one-shots of the appearances of the Thing. So I buy those things so I can read them. But I don't necessarily care if it's in great condition. I don't want it to be falling apart. If it's missing a cover, I will probably rebuy that. And I've done that with, it was a What If issue, the first What If issue featuring Spider-Girl. I had one without a cover. I found one for like 50 cents that was, I don't know, maybe good grade, so I picked that one up. And but when I go to things like mycomicshop.com, I always just pick the lowest grade that's available because they don't really sell anything less than whatever the third markdown is, because you have like near mint, and then there's like the goods, and then there's the fines, right?
Yeah, it's mint. It's mint, near mint, very fine, very good, poor.
Yeah, I always forget whether or not it's good or fine. That comes after the mints, but usually
no, good means not good. Poor, good is just above poor. You don't want something that is good. Good could be like bent corners, possibly a ripped cover. Poor is the whole thing's fallen apart, basically.
You know, and when you have something that's fairly new, if it's in good condition, that means that it's kind of effed up.
Very good is like a reader copy. Fine is pretty good. Maybe a little bit of like spine creasage. And even then, I don't see a lot of that. It's more fine is more. There's a tiny bit of wear. But you know, it's very fine. You'd have to look really hard before you could tell what was wrong with it. So.
What do you do? Do you collect things for value, or because I'm never going to resell this stuff likely anyway, but so I don't actually care about the value of them.
Yeah, I care less than I used to. When I was younger, I was much more of a collector than I was a reader, and I worried about things like that. It was silly that I did that because I wasn't a completionist. I wasn't looking at a complete collection of anything. In my head, it was quantity. So it was like, okay, if you have a big, huge collection of assorted comics, no matter what they are, if you have enough of them, your collection was worth a lot of money. And if individual books were worth a certain amount, then you could put all of that together, and maybe you could sell your collection for $2,000, $3,000, $5,000. I thought about that kind of thing when I was a kid because I always I was the kind of kid that thought forward a lot, and I wanted to have contingency plans. So I never wanted to sell my collection, but I wanted to have a good, as pristine as I could make it, collection, so that if, say, I needed to put myself through college or something, I could do that. I thought about stuff like that. Not so much anymore. Now it's more of, like you said, more of a library. It's more, I want the stuff that I know I might go back to. and I want to read it. You will see me these days. I mean, I'm very different from the way I used to be on that kind of stuff. And also, I used to keep all my action figures in package. I don't do that anymore. I open stuff. So like, I mean, I keep stuff in nice shape, but it's it's not perfect anymore. It's not the pristine condition. So like you'll see me sometimes on a comic vault, take a comic and roll it a little bit.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I mean, like I'm not even all that concerned anymore with condition. I mean, like you roll a comic a little bit, and it flattens right back out. You know what I mean? Like it's not like I'm sitting there creasing the spine or anything, but yeah. Every now and then you want a comic book sandwich. That's all I'm saying.
This sandwich tastes funny.
This sandwich tastes like a comic shop. This is weird. So
I should stop licking the floors at comic shops.
So for me, if it looks, good enough is good enough. I mean, that's kind of where I'm at these days. I do look at condition a lot naturally if I'm selling books.
Yeah.
But that's different because I know that there are collectors that are that A, there are collectors that are looking for perfect shape, and B, people want to know what the condition is. So I know how to grade comics. I know how to look at a comic and tell you what the grade is. That sort of thing. So condition is something I'm mindful of. It's something I know a lot about, but it's not something that for my personal collection I worry about as much as I used to. Except for trades. I want those to look great.
Yeah, same here.
And I guess they're reader copies, but there's just something about, I don't know, there's something about, and I don't have a lot of trades, maybe that's part of what it is too, but like, there's something about a trade where when I pull it off the shelf, it's really cool if it looks like it did when I bought it in the store. I don't even know how to articulate this feeling, but
So what you're saying is whenever I take your trades off your shelf and bang the set edges into the ground, you don't like that?
No, sometimes sometimes when you do that, Vince, I feel the need to go up and grab you an actual hammer.
Okay. So you hand the hammer to me, and then I just finish off the binding.
Yeah,
so
that's just like that. What? I don't know. I don't know why I'm thinking that though. I don't know why I feel that way.
I'm kind of with you, and it kind of depends on the age of the trade.
And hardcover,
yeah.
more so.
Here's the deal. If I go to a store and
I like pretty things, Oh, by the way, you mentioned I've got to replace it if the cover is gone. Well, yeah, the cover is half the reason to buy a comic book. For me, aesthetically. I mean, I'm more of a reader now than I used to be, but I used to buy solely on covers. I used to go, that cover looks great. I want to know what's inside. So yeah, I can't have comics. That can't happen. That's ridiculous. Anyway, I'm sorry. What were you saying?
And I might replace a comic book if the cover is like falling off.
Oh yeah, sure.
But if it's still connected but it's ugly, now there are some things that things that came out in the '70s that are a little harder to find. Whatever, I don't care.
Yeah.
And like for example, I have a fairly craptastic copy of The Shadow #1 from Archie Comics in like 1964 or 7.
Oh, do you really?
It is. Yeah, I found it for $3 at Vintage.
And it's nice just to have it.
Yeah, it's nice just to have it. It was the only one that featured the Shadow as he traditionally appears. At least it did on the cover. On the interior, it's this guy in this weird blue and green costume. Whatever. He has like the Robin mask. It's bizarre. He has no hat, blue-green costume with a cape, and the Robin mask. It's whatever. Anyway.
Do you see any better when you do that?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
You should give it a shot.
I'm not doing that. I'm not falling for that again.
Here, I'll help you. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah,
You're like, you touch me, I'm going to hammer your trades.
You and your Trojan horse fingers.
But so the trades, when I want to buy a trade, if I'm buying it off the shelf, I want it to be in pristine condition. I've only ever bought one book off
Some
the
of
shelf.
it is cost. If I'm going to spend $25 on a book, it better look as good as it did in the warehouse. So
if I'm spending shelf price, it's going to look good.
Yeah.
If I'm spending under shelf price, I care a little bit less.
Do you do this? Do you take the dust covers off if you travel?
No.
I do that.
That's a good point. I usually don't travel with them.
Oh, okay. Well, when I say travel, I just mean if I take it with me someplace. Oh. Like if I take it out of the house, I'm going to take the dust cover off. That's a thing I do.
The hardback or the hard binding is a little bit more durable than the dust cover because that gets messed up.
It just gets messed up. Yeah.
I always kind of felt like dust covers are less classy than the interior binding. So.
I know, me too. I sort of enjoy having. I mean, I don't do this because it came with a dust cover, so I use it. But there are some things like for instance, the Well, actually, no. That was cool because it didn't have the Infinity Gauntlet hardcover I have doesn't have a dust jacket, and it has an emblazoned. This is part of the reason I bought it. Thanos on the cover of it. That's cool looking. That is classy. But like, I like having hardcovers that just simply have in nice font the name of the book and nothing else. I don't know what it is about that, but you're right. It's classy. I love that.
And I don't mind the artist or the author or artist name on the side. Why not?
Oh, no, of course. But I just mean, but on the cover, like, all you see on the cover is the name of the thing.
Yeah, and like there's what do you call it? I forget what the
Baby
trade
Seals?
is called. There is a Frank Miller trade that came out a while back that's kind of a padded cover. And I think it's really classy looking on the side. It even has that raised bump that goes around the whole book, even around the binding.
Oh, yeah.
And it has Year One, it has Dark Knight Returns, and it has like Santa Claus Wanted Dead or Alive or whatever it's called.
Oh, okay.
Santa Claus one. That's the only one I haven't read.
I've never heard of that. Okay.
Yeah, it's some kind of Christmas issue with Batman. And
so some kind of anthology book?
Yeah, I don't actually. Yeah, it's a collection of.
Okay.
The important parts are that Year One and Dark Knight Returns are collected in this thing, and it's a nice big book. I found it at Half Price Books the other day for $40, and the only time I've ever seen it before that was in a friend's collection.
Did you buy it?
No.
Oh, okay.
I already have the ones I cared for out of that.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So
right.
it would just be like spending.
I didn't know if
money
you had those. Yeah.
But so
Vince has, by the way, a really impressive trade collection.
I have quite a few, and I've actually kind of gotten rid of some of my stock. I started looking at it,
really? I didn't know
and
that.
I said to myself, which of these things apply to my collections? Because I've read them all. So I went, do I actually need these? So I started selling them off and moving things. So things will actually fit in my house. My wife could have cared less. She's like, you want to keep them? Keep them. I'm like, yeah, I know, but if I can get $100 for selling these things, I'm going to sell it so I can
fair enough.
get some new stuff. But so that's what I do. But that in itself is almost a different topic. Trade that's for less than cover price, don't care if it's pretty. Trade that's for cover price or more, it's got to be pretty.
Doesn't it depend? Because here's where things get interesting as far as collecting goes. These days, I am both a collector and a reader, and I buy things for different reasons. That's part of the thing with this. So if I bought a thing because I never read it and I want to read it, but it's not really a huge part of the collection or whatever, I'm not going to think as much about condition. And obviously, I'm going to buy things that look nice, but I'm talking the difference between perfect and not perfect. I'm talking shelfware versus it looks like nobody has ever laid a finger on it. Shelfware is different from the covers hanging off. You know what I mean? Like there's a lot of different levels of conditions. So for me, like if I'm buying something that is for a specific part of my collection, and it is something that I'm more complete on. If I'm buying a Galactus thing or Batman stuff, I'm gonna get it as good as I can get it. I am gonna think more about condition than I do when I buy new stuff. And I know that sounds weird, but like when I'm buying week to week, the brand new comics, I mean, I want them to look good when I buy them, but like I don't bag and board those for a long time. They sit in a stack for a while before I even think to bag and board them. I think part of the reason, this was a big thing I wanted to get to, I think part of the reason that I don't think about it as much with new stuff is I know that most of what I buy week to week is never going to be worth more than the price that's on the cover right now. I bought it to read it.
Yeah.
You know, and some of it is completion stuff, or not completion, but some of it is, okay, that's a thing that I usually like to buy, so I'm going to buy it. And yeah, I read it, but I also bought it to have it. But I don't know, I just don't think as much about condition until I go back a certain amount of time, which is ironic because if I go back far enough, a lot of the things that I'm buying are not going to be in as nice looking shape as what I have now, but some of that stuff you're not going to be able to find in perfect shape unless it's CCG'd and you want to spend an inordinate sum of money, and there's not very much I would do that with. There are a couple things, maybe.
What would you do it with?
I would do it with I would do it with Watchmen. Because I don't have first editions of Watchmen, and I would love to save up and get CCG first editions of Watchmen. I would do it for the original Silver Surfer mini.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. And I would do it with this sounds stupid because there's so many of them. I wouldn't mind having a CCG black bag Death of Superman. that'd be a thing. And you know what I'm talking about with CCGs. I would do that. For people that don't know what we're talking about, that's when it's graded and it's put in a plastic case thing that you never take out of the case. You never break that seal. Once it's been CCG'd at a particular condition, it will always be in that condition, and you basically have it to put up somewhere and say that you have it. But they look really, really nice, and it'd be cool to. Some of those things would be cool to decorate with. And I would also do it with the original with the original Galactus saga.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So yes, there are things that if money were no object, not even if money were, there are things that eventually I may save up and try to get. Honestly, I don't have a single CCG book. I'd love to do it once or twice.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind doing it with the first appearance of the Punisher. Why not?
That would be expensive. That would cost more than I think everything I just mentioned. And I have that book, but it's not CCG. And it's not. I think I have maybe a very good copy of that. Very good to find. It's in okay shape, but
yeah. And I think I don't know how expensive it is to get something graded, but to buy something graded, it's pretty pricey.
It's pricey.
Because to get something graded, I think it's like $20. I think it's $20 per book.
It is, and it was last time I looked into it. And you're right, that'd be the way to do it, wouldn't it? You wouldn't buy it that way. You'd get it, and then you'd get it graded. But you'd be more, especially if you're buying online, you'd be more sure that you got the actual condition that it said it was if it was CCG. But
see, I wouldn't necessarily. I think I would like to have something graded, but I don't necessarily think that it needs to be near mint. I would be okay with getting, say a very good issue of something and then have it graded and then it just be in my house. Because I'll be like, yeah, I have that, and it will always be in that condition unless there's a fire.
And then if you wanted to read it, you could have it in trade or something.
Yeah, and I have that issue that I mentioned like 6 or 7 times over in varying things because they reprinted it in the back of stuff, and they gave it away as free copies when Punisher came out, so why not?
Yeah, I mean, there are a whole bunch of reprints. Even there's a lot of single flat ones, too.
Oh, yeah. God, there's a million of them.
And that's true of a lot of those major landmark things. I mean, obviously, you can buy reprints of like Amazing Fantasy and Spider-Man, Amazing Spider-Man #1 all day long. There's a lot of those reprints. But to actually buy that book is these days inordinate.
Yeah, and sometimes even the reprints are kind of pricey.
Now let me ask you this, Vince. Is there ever going to come the time where you say, you know what, I'm tired of only having certain Punisher stuff in, or whatever character we're talking about, Shadow, but especially Punisher, stuff in trade. I want to get more collectory, and I want the first editions. Is that ever going to happen? Do you ever start thinking that way?
I would like to say no, but there's a potential of it.
Is there? Okay, all right.
I could see myself at some point saying, well, I need these things. Why not? Because the stuff that I don't have in single issues...
And there's not much. You have a lot of it that way.
Most of it. The stuff that I don't have in single issues are the first appearance of Spider-Man. And, the first appearance of Punisher.
Yeah. I was like, why is that important? Punisher didn't exist until well over a decade or two after that.
Well, they really set him up in the first...
Oh, really?
No,
really? Did that happen?
Nope. So, the stuff that I would consider...
The movie he was based on didn't exist yet. Refresh my memory. What was that again?
Oh, it was from a series of novels called The Executioner by a writer named Don Pendleton.
But I thought there was also a movie that you told me informed the character real hard.
I don't know.
Oh,
there might be an
said this a couple
times.
No, you said this a couple times where there's some revenge movie that you said the Punisher is basically that guy.
Well, it's the Executioner. Don Pendleton's
There's
novels.
Another thing, though. Okay, all right. I'm sorry.
Maybe there's something I'm forgetting. I don't know.
I don't remember. You've said it more than once, and I can't remember what it was. Anyway, sorry. Go ahead.
But the stuff that I would feel compelled to collect would be the stuff that's in Essential Punisher Volume 1, because most of that is not Punisher stuff. It's all like the appearance of the Punisher prior to his first series, which I think they have his first series collected in that. But still, I mean, there's like 24 issues in each of those essential things. So, oh my goodness. And that's the thing, though, is that like Marvel's Super Action and all those things, I mean, it's not like you're buying a $5 issue. It's when you start getting into the $50 range for an issue, I start questioning whether or not I actually want to buy it. And that's the thing, is I realize $50 is attainable, but it's not free. I mean, $50 for a single issue, especially something that I have a reading copy of already.
I'll tell you, there, because I haven't brought up Spawn yet. There are some issues of short print runs of Spawn that I hated having to give up the amount of money I had to give up just to get them, and I had a pretty good Spawn collection going before I started Spawn Year, but it wasn't complete, and I still had of the main series. I mean, I probably still had 70 or 80 books that I didn't have, and some of that was easy to get. And so anyway, I started completing it because of Spawn Year, because I needed the single issues to do Spawn Year with. And some of that low print run stuff, when you start getting into the mid 150s to early 160s range, they didn't print very many because it wasn't selling, and a lot of it, like several of those issues, command 20 to 25, sometimes 40, $50, just because they didn't make very many of them. And I think the most I spent on a single Spawn issue was 30. Maybe I spent more than that at one point, which maybe doesn't sound like a whole lot, but when you're trying to buy them all at once, and I did this over a period of several months while I was in the early days of Spawn Year, and well, actually no, early to mid, there was still some stuff even just a few months ago I didn't quite have yet. So yeah, that was a thing, but then that became collecting to make a show.
Yeah.
Which is a very different thing, and not something I ever would have thought I would experience. But I had to buy a lot of action figures I didn't have too.
Were you terribly concerned with the condition when you were buying?
No, I wasn't. No, I bought a lot of things. You were talking about like mycomicshop.com and places like that. When I bought things from those places, because sometimes they were the only people that had them, and sometimes they didn't have them. There were certain books I had to just wait around for. 2-3 weeks. I'd keep going back in. Okay, hopefully somebody has it now. I bought everything out at Elite that he had that I was missing, and then I started going online. But anyway, yeah, I bought a lot of things, it would say very good to fine range, and they seem to be very conservative in their estimates of that stuff, because I'd get them and they looked fine.
Yeah.
Like they looked...
Not graded fine, but
they look good enough for me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, they're good, no problem. There'd be like maybe a small crease on a spine or something. It was never a big deal. It was always good, fine.
Which, if you're a retailer,
I hate these words.
Yeah.
But anyway, getting away from the comic condition lingo, they were all right.
Yeah, they didn't look like there was anything terribly wrong with them. Mm-mm. And when you go to places like if you're a comic shop retailer, I would say if you're going to grade something, you should probably bet the under. Why? Because you'll make your customer happier.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I always try to do.
Arguing.
I when I was on eBay selling comics, I would sometimes get feedback where people would be like, "This looks way better than what you described," and I'd be like, "Yeah," because I didn't want to, I wanted to make sure that I wasn't, false advertising, because you might know what grading is supposed to be, but some people don't really understand the whole thing, and there is a certain amount of subjectiveness.
Yeah. I mean, even I always kind of wonder whether or not it's 100% accurate when they do the CCG thing.
I doubt it can be.
I think
there's always a little bit of room for error with a grading system like that, because it's eyeballing. What are you gonna do? It's like different things are gonna be messed up in different ways.
Yeah. And they do have some ways, like if there's a thumbprint, it takes off so much. If there's a crease, it takes off so much, and I get
but,
that.
But how big does the thumbprint have to be? How big does the crease have to be? How discolored must it be? Stuff like that.
So that would be a good example of questionable inter-rater reliability.
Now, I will say that I have bought things. This is the last thing I'll say. I can't believe we've been going this long about condition. Was that?
Said how long have it? And then I went, whatever.
I don't know, but longer than I expected we would. Anyway, I have rebought things because I had an okay reading copy, but I found a way nicer looking one, and it wasn't for too much money. I've done this. especially, and this is why I thought of it, especially over discoloration. If I'm talking about something that's like from the mid 80s or before, and sometimes if stuff is old enough and it's printed on newsprint, just sitting in your lawn box, the color can fade. And in fact, there's certain kind of mylar that's better than other kinds of mylar for that. So if you, if I go back to something and I go, yeah, this is getting kind of discolored, and then I find a copy where the color looks perfect and it's not that expensive, yeah, I'll replace it. And you know why? It's not just a matter of I want a great condition. It's going to look nicer when I read it. It's exactly the same thing as when somebody replaces a DVD with a Blu-ray because the transfer looks nicer. Yeah, it's the same thing.
That makes sense. I like that. I'm going to tack this on here. You're going to be annoyed that I'm going to say this.
No, it's cool.
Because those were your final thoughts, it seemed like. So here's another idea.
Yeah.
Do you?
Final thoughts. Okay, and now I'm going to ask you a question.
Do you feel like, because I've done this before, do you feel like when you find a good deal on, say, a hardback or something, and you already have it in single issues, do you feel like you need to buy the hardback too sometimes?
Infinity Gauntlet.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah, of course I had that already, but it was just pretty. Yeah, I couldn't help it. Sometimes sometimes I feel the need to have a couple of editions of something if it's super nice. I mean, we do this sometimes with movies, right? Where another edition will come out, the box is really pretty, and you'll think, oh man, I kind of want that, but what is the point? And then it'll have new special features on it, and you'll go, okay, cool, now I have an excuse. But the real reason I bought it was because the box was cool looking. Now I've never really done that. For me, special features are usually the rub. But with comics, with something like that, maybe that hardcover will have some extra drawings and things in the back, some peripheral information, and you're like, oh, okay. Maybe it would be nice to have that extra stuff, but aren't you really buying it because it's just really pretty and it's one of your favorite things? And I mean, I will buy No Man's Land again because the newer trades are just fantastic looking. They also include some issues I don't have. I mean, that's a thing. But I'm just saying I might have bought them anyway. And if anybody ever does, or maybe this exists, I don't know. If anybody ever does like a really solid, like really pretty looking black hardcover Death of Superman, yeah, I'll buy that. Yes, I have it already, but sometimes it's cool to get the experience in a different way too. It's like, okay, the different. Maybe people are going to say I'm being too nerdy when I say this, but and geeks not nerds and whatever. But there is a little bit of this paper looks nicer.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like again, it's a format thing. It's like standard definition to HD, and I don't usually care that much about that. But if the transfer looks nicer, then I think about it. For example, Origin is a so much nicer read in the hardcover than it is in the single issues, because the hardcover has those really nice glossy pages, and something about that really brings that artwork out. It really enhances that. I don't know. I read it that way first, and that art, like it did with a lot of people, just came out and hit me in the face. It was so cool, and it was so different. And then later on, I got some of the single issues. Not on purpose, because I don't usually rebuy like that. But I do collect a lot of singles. But if I have it in trade already, I don't always get the single. But I was buying out collections to sell on eBay, and I found a couple of singles for Origin in a collection, and I popped one of them open, and I was looking at the artwork. It wasn't the same. It did not hit me the same way. It was really. I mean, yes, I'd seen it before. It didn't feel the same.
It's amazing what print quality. Actually, sometimes it's even amazing the difference between print quality, because sometimes you'll go and you'll pick up. I was buying Outsiders and Teen Titans. Jeff Johns, is that the guy that did that stuff?
Yeah. I think.
Yeah, I was buying Teen Titans and Judd Winnick's Outsiders back when they just started.
Oh yeah, that's right.
And I was buying them, and it was this very just pulpy paper. It wasn't anything particularly fantastic, but you go to the actual issues and they were printed with the glossy pages, and I was just, I don't know, it seemed it was dumbfounding to me to actually look at the issues and go, wow, these are better than the trade that I just bought, which, I mean, so it's the same thing, but it's the reverse.
And some things look better in newsprint. Isn't that weird?
I think that's what I liked so much about them was that they were raw. They were. It almost seemed like I was reading something that wasn't necessarily meant for mass consumption. Even though it was.
I love what Absolute Watchmen looks like, but I also like what the singles look like.
Yeah. Well, the singles are pretty. the singles they don't look like a regular comic book to me. They're surprising to me that they're flat, because I look at the cover and I go, now that's going to be a book, and then I open it and I'm like, oh yeah, this is an issue. This book seems really thin. What's going on?
Well, anyway, we'd love to hear from you as always. Leave comments and let us know if you're a collector or even just a comic book reader, what condition means to you when you buy stuff. Do you think about that? Does it even matter to you? Leave comments. Let us know what you think. Also, if there's something you want to hear us talk about in a future video, leave that in the comments as well. And now we would like to announce something. Vince and I are going to bring back once again the multi-topic extravaganza. That's right. This year's. I think we should start making this kind of a yearly thing, Vince. So the executive decision made just now, right here. You heard it first. The annual multi-topic extravaganza. I want to say this is our 4th or 5th of these. I think it's maybe 4.
We're gonna call it the 4th.
But I'll have to go back and look. I don't remember. Anyway, it's been a while since we've done this. So here's the way the multi-topic extravaganza works. If you don't know about it, and if you're new to the channel, you haven't seen us do this before. It's basically just a Q&A. So what you can do is you can send us questions either on YouTube as a personal message to us, or right here in the comments even. Although I will say that I'm more likely to see it if you send it as a personal message, because I may not come back to this video for a while and see them. So you'll be a little better off if you send it as a personal message. But anyway, about anything you want to ask us, pop culture, comic books, superheroes, science fiction, books, television, what have you, or just fun things you've always wondered about me and Vince, feel free to leave questions. Anything you want to ask us, you can leave as many as you want, but we're not going to promise to do more than one question per person. If we get really rolling on this, and if there's a lot of questions that we really like, we may answer more than one from one person, but please don't be irritated if we only answer one of your questions if you ask multiples. But that's totally cool. Feel free to ask as many questions as you want, and as I said, send those as a personal message, and we will get started on that the next time you see us on Geeks Not Nerds.
And for those of you who are not around for the other ones, we do multiple videos. So there's not just one multi-topic extravaganza video for the year. We do multiple videos, and we try to answer many questions. We just
do them until we're finished answering at least one question from every person. Yeah. Last time I think it was like five or six sessions, and we usually let them go half an hour, 45 minutes per video, and we just kind of quit when we're finished with one, and then the next week we'll come back to it again. So anyway, ask us stuff. We look forward to hearing from you. And the reason we do this is because people ask questions all the time that we just don't feel like we can do a full-blown video on. And then sometimes we end up taking questions and doing full videos on them later anyway, so we'll touch on something and then go, okay, but this is good for a video, we'll come back to it later. So it replenishes us with new material as part of the reason we do it too. But also, we love interacting with you folks, and talking at and to lots of people in a video is kind of fun for us. So anyway, leave us questions. We look forward to them. And thanks as always for watching. We sure appreciate it. Hope you enjoyed the video. I'm Captain Logan.
And I'm Vince, reminding you to support your local comic book store. Sometimes I'm concerned with condition, but mostly I just use shampoo.